Okay, so I just want to quickly look at the options for setting up a new family, and in this case, I'm going to be starting with a 2D AutoCAD file, and I want to then build that up into a 3D Revit family. So on the File menu, I've gone to New and then Family, and then I'll choose Metric Furniture as the template to start with. Double click. And so just checking question there. You can see, yeah, brilliant. Yeah. Okay, so then the first thing to bring in my AutoCAD file, go to the Insert tab and then Import CAD. And then grab the file I want. So I'm going to just use this one. Chair 1, or let's see what Chair 2 looks like. No, I'll go with Chair 1. Chair 2, I have actually made that one. That's a bent wood chair, but that's a bit more involved for the modelling. So we'll go with Chair 1, and there we are. Now, now I just might undo that and repeat it because I needed to show you a step. So again, Insert, Import CAD, and so going down to here. And so really important that you look at the import units. Often auto detect is fine, but if it doesn't come in the right size, then the first thing to try is set it to millimeters. In other situations, you might need to try out some different units to get it to come in the right size. But generally, millimeters should be the first option to try. So I'll do that. Click open, and then now to make sure it is the right size, I'll use the measuring tool and just check that it's the size we'd expect. So 450 across is perfect. So we know that's the right size. And then very, very quickly, I'm going to make some extrusions to model this up in 3D. So on the Create tab, going to Extrusion, and then pick lines in the Draw panel. Oops. Okay, and then I'll move my cursor onto the edge of one of those lines and press Tab to highlight the chain of lines there, and tick to finish, and we'll go to the 3D view. And then, of course, we can see that. So now I can, with that selected, either stretch it using the arrows or type in the part that I want. So the extrusion end I might set to what I want the top to be, so let's say 420, and then the, let's make it 430, and then the base, the extrusion start, I'll make 400. Okay, so now I'll go back to Plan, and then make another extrusion under Create, extrusion again, and then again also pick lines, but this time I'm not going to use the chain option, I'm just going to pick individual shapes. And then use trim to corner to join the lines there at the side to those arcs. And then again, tick to finish, go to my 3D view, and again, this one I might just stretch by eye because I can snap the bottom of that backrest to the top of the seat. And so now that is done. And maybe to get that to look a bit neater though, I'll switch to a different scale so you can see the problem. If I go to 1 to 20, then that will heighten the line weights, and you can see there that it's not joined. But if I use the join tool and then choose the 2 extrusions, of course we can hide that join essentially. Okay, so that's good enough for now. Maybe the backrest, oh no, that's okay. So then I'll go back to the plan view and again make a new extrusion, and then use a circle maybe for my legs. And I'm just eyeballing this, I'm not trying to get that into an exact spot. And you shouldn't be either, you're not designing things like chairs. They're supplied as is by a manufacturer, so you're just trying to get something that looks like the thing that you've chosen from a catalogue or something. So yeah, 15 mil, that's probably good for the radius. And so again, tick to finish. And before I mirror this, I'm going to go to my 3D view and then simply stretch the top there to snap to the bottom of my seat. And then I could go back and mirror it, but you'll see I can't help myself. I'm going to show you another option in a second to make it look a bit better. But I'll just do this for now. So I'll go to mirror pick axis and mirror the first leg, and then I'll hold down Control and select the first one again, and then go to mirror pick axis and again mirror it towards the back. Okay, so we've got some legs there, but that looks a bit ordinary, mostly because the legs are straight, and I think it would look a lot better with some tapering or angled legs. So I'll show you a nice easy option for that. Again, I can't help myself, but I think it would look a lot better with angled legs. So I'm going to use blend instead of extrusion. So again, I'll start with a circle that's the same size, 15mm radius. And actually, no, because these are more like metal legs instead of wooden legs, so I'll make them maybe 10mm radius. In reality, it might even be less than that. But let's just do 10. And then I'll go to Edit Top and then do another circle. And then draw another 10mm radius circle. Okay, so now it's going to slope from the bottom circle to the top circle. So if I go to Tick to Finish, go to a 3D view, and you can see now we've got an angled leg. And again, I'm simply going to use the arrow there to stretch that to snap to the bottom of my seat. And I think that looks a lot better. So now again, I'll select that leg, go back to my plan view, and then mirror pick axis, and then pick the vertical axis there, hold down Control, and then again, mirror pick axis and mirror towards the back. So there we are. Okay, so hopefully that'll give you some good ideas for modelling your own furniture, and most importantly, doing it in a family file rather than using model in place all the time. Because if you use model in place for repeated elements, it becomes much harder to manage those things once they're in your project. So what I'll do, before I load it, I'll go and save as, under File, save as Family, and I'll save it into my Revit library. This computer, which you'll see has a bit more than what you'd be used to seeing. So here, I'll just save it here, and so we'll make it CC. CC is just my business name. CC chair. Something. Okay, so then I'll click Load into Project, and then tick the one I want to load into. That'll do. Okay, and then I'll just place a couple of those. A few. And that might then help to show you how important it is to have families managed in this way, because now, since this is a family, or a loadable family, in other words, it's been loaded from its own file, now if I need to change that chair, I don't need to go and select it and then click Edit in Place for each chair. If I'd used Model in Place, that would be the case. So everything that I've made with Model in Place, like these things over here, again, I need to select them, go to Edit in Place. And if I've copied those things, I might just copy this one. Right, so if I have a copy of something that I've made with Model in Place, unless you use the trick of making it a group first, essentially they're now unique. In other words, each one's different. So if I edit one, if I go to Edit in Place and change, also I'll change the other one. So if I select this one again, go to Edit in Place and then change it, let's just make the void a bit different. The other one doesn't change. And that applies to everything. So if I change the material on one, the other one, again, wouldn't change the material. And that becomes really difficult to manage. And I've seen situations where we've had people who've copied, those tube type railings that you essentially need to model in place, and put them all around their stairs, and ended up with them going all through the space. They might have had a few hundred tubes. And then because of the way they've copied them, if they've been made with Model in Place, they've had to go and select every single tube, Edit in Place, select it again, change the material, and basically do that 100 times, which is pretty tedious. But again, if you do it with a family, is go and edit the one family, and that will change all the chairs. So let's say I want to change this one, so we'll change all of those chairs. I'm not going to change the geometry, I'm going to change the materials. So I might make a camera view so you can see that as well. Okay, so no materials yet. So all I need to do to have materials now on all of these chairs is select one of them, go to Edit Family. And, sorry, now was there a question? Just making sure. No, that must have been another, I've got a couple of meetings going, so that's fine. Okay, so I'll just make sure it's not, here we go. So I just quickly have to check something. Oh, yeah, so, okay. So, so the solids there, they can actually be done in 3D. So I'll just change to my 3D view and just select maybe the seat and the backrest will have the same material. So I'm just selecting both of those with control. And I want to show you the correct process. So the way I would always do it is to first go into the material option, not to the parameter, that's next, but the first thing is to click where you've got the material option, and then just browse to assign a material in the family. Because I'm setting this up so I can use it for all of my projects in the future, not just this one that I'm working on. So I want to set a default material for my chair, and so I'm going to make a new material for that. So you could use one of these materials and duplicate it if you wanted to, but it doesn't hurt to make a brand new material, so I'll do that, create new material, and then I'll rename it, and we'll call it, I'm going to do a plastic chair. So we'll call it plastic, plastic, let's just keep it simple, plastic white. So again, just the same process I'm sure you're getting used to. Go to the appearance, right click and replace. And I'll go to the appearance library and just go to the plastics folder. So just give it a second. Now just make sure you can all still see Revit. I'm sure you would have told me if you couldn't. Just making sure, because I can't see the team screen while I do this. Yeah, it's still there though. Okay, so again, plastics, and we'll just get a simple plastic. That'll do. Now this is actually good to see. So notice how it's coming with the generic material. I should have checked for that, but I'll go back and replace it, and I'll check a bit more thoroughly this time. Yeah, so you need to watch out with these templates. I'm glad I showed you before a little bit about templates, because you'll see here that some of these plastic materials do use the plastic template. And when I say template, it really means the type. So here the type is essentially the template, and so some of them use the generic template. They still look like plastic. Now again, so I keep getting messages because there are other meetings running. Just making sure it's not anyone in this one. Yep. Okay, so again, I want one that's using the plastic type. So I don't really care about what it looks like. I can use laminate navy and I can change the color. But I just want to get one that has, or fine textured white, as long as it's using the plastic type, not one that's generic. And so notice we've got different settings because it's, again, the plastic template, not the generic template. And so there I can change this to, I want it to be glossy, and then I'm just going to turn bumps off. I want smooth plastic, so I don't really want any bumps. And it's just a bit easier to do those things with the plastic template than with the generic setup where you have a lot more options. So I've got my plastic material. So that's, if you like, the default that I've set for when I load it into a project, but I still want to have the option then to change it once I've loaded it in. So I'm also going to add a parameter next to that, and then click new parameter, and we'll say this is chair seat back. That's enough for the name. Okay, and then I'm going to basically do the same thing with the legs. So I'll go a bit faster with this. So I'll just get those 4 legs with control. Go to make a material. And it's actually good to give just general names for your materials. Don't try to give them names that are based on the thing you're assigning them to. You just want to describe the material. So those are going to be metal, stainless, something like that. So we know it's stainless steel, not a special type of metal that we've made for the chair itself. Okay, so I can go to the appearance library and then okay, so it's just getting a bit overloaded. My poor computer with 15 programs running, but it will open a second. Just give it a minute. Okay, if you're wondering why it does sometimes take a minute when you get to assign materials, it's because it's got to load the render module, which is technically another program within a program, and it can take a second to do that. Or it could be frozen. I hope it's not frozen. I haven't saved this yet. But no, here we go. There we are. It's back. Okay, so there we are. So I'll just get a metal. And again, watch out here because they have the new materials built in here as well. But I'm just trying to find one that is the metal type. Brass. I hate brass, so I'll try to avoid it. But here you go, chrome. That's what I want. Okay, but you might have heard me say, I could have chosen brass because even after you've made that material with the metal preset or the metal template, you do have the option to change to a different kind of metal at any point. One of the advantages of using the preset. And so again, ticking use render appearance, and I should have done that with the plastic material, and I don't think I did, so I'm just going to go back and fix that midstream while I'm doing it. You can do that, and then back to the metal material because I want that, of course, to be the one that is assigned. Yeah. Okay, so I've got my chair legs now with the metal. We'll go to realistic, and then we can see there's a little bit of difference because when you have a reflective material in a realistic view, it comes up black, but that's okay. We know that. So again, I'm selecting all 4 legs now, and I'll just add the parameter. So I'll assign the material. So again, that's the default, but I can then now put a parameter on so it's adjustable in the project. And so this will be chair legs. Okay, so again, I'll just save my file. So it's there for future use, but then load into project to bring those changes into the project. And okay, and then we've got, again, here, it doesn't really matter because they're new parameters anyway. So it wouldn't matter which option I chose here, but if you're not sure, you generally want to choose the bottom option. But you'll know when you want to choose the top option. Essentially, if you don't want parameters to change, if you've set them to something previously that you want to keep, that you've then edited in the family, then you would of course choose the first option. But again, in most cases, you do want those parameter changes to come through, so you choose the second option. Again, in this case, it would make 0 difference. And there we are. So now if I select the chair, I can go to edit type, and there we can see the 2 parameters for the materials. We'll have to get into dimensional parameters at some point as well, so you can make chairs that are have an adjustable size. But I think that's for another day, and probably with the next project. I think we'll go further with that. So unless you've got any questions, I might finish that video there. Oh, so someone goes, oh yeah, what if you want the same material in another family parameter? Not a problem. Yeah, so you can do that, absolutely. So, okay, so I can, so do you mean, what if we wanted to have the chair legs set to the same material as the back? Is that what you mean?
So you had a table that was the same, or like that was different family, but then you wanted the same legs.
Yes.
And you made that in a separate family, but then you want the legs to all be the same metal stainless steel thing.
Yes, absolutely. Look, so you've got two options. If it was a family where you wanted to combine the tables and chairs into a family that was tables and chairs, then you can do what's called nesting. So you can link the parameters together, but that's a bit more involved. But a simpler option would be just to use, as long as you use parameters, then you can assign the same material. So I'll just do that. So I'll go and make a table. That'll then take a couple of seconds. So I'll go and make another new family, and then because the table's such an easy thing to make, I'm happy to do that. So I'll just do that very quickly. Okay, so if I make another extrusion for my tabletop, and then we'll make it 750, something like that. Dining tables are really tricky to get the height right, but you sometimes got to go and measure them. That's like a high desk, really, but you can dining tables sometimes go up to about 800. It really varies. But I'll make the base just 700, so that's a fairly low one, but that's okay. So I've got my my basic tabletop, and then I'll do a leg. Maybe it's a chance to quickly show you revolves as well if you haven't thought very much about those. So I'll make a revolve here, and you can see some of the other advantages of using a family file, because you might have noticed in a project it would have asked me to choose a plane at this point, but with a family you have a lot of extra planes that are preset, and that means you don't have to always choose the plane. It assumes when you're modeling in elevation that you want to use the plane setup for that, which is a huge advantage, and that's why I really prefer modeling things in family files. So I'm just fixing that leg. That'll do me. There we are. So I've done my revolve profile. I just need to do an axis line for it to revolve around, and that's my leg done. Okay, so let's say we want to have the same materials. So I'm not going to bother making the materials here because I know I can pick them from the project. So all I'm going to do is add a parameter. God, that is a low table, isn't it? Yeah, it makes you realize. So again, I've seen dining tables that low, but that is a bit low for this size that I made it. So again, it's one of these really unusual things when you get into heights for furniture and things like that. So I'll make it 800. And that's probably more common for a dining table anyway. Yeah, it's a bit better. You don't want to get 900's quite high, but maybe it's because I've made the radius fairly large that it looks higher than it really is. So I might just reduce that. Getting fussy, I know, because it's not really that important, but again, it's good to think about the design always. Yeah, I think that's a bit better. Okay, so again, just coming back to the parameters. So now I will I'll start with the leg. So again, I'm just going to go to add a parameter. I'm skipping the step of adding in a default material. I can always come back and do that later. So I'm going to call this table leg. And then, of course, select the tabletop. And then add a parameter to that, which I'll call table. Yeah, come in. Sorry, yeah. Just make sure you close the door because my voice is going. Yeah, of course, go for it. Yeah, just close the door after you because my voice is going down the hall. That's fine. Good. Yep. So yes, I'm just recording. That's all. That's right. Okay, so I'm going to save as again. So it's really important before you load your families in. If you've made them yourself, it'll really help you a lot if you get into the habit of saving them before you load them. Because, of course, the name you save them with is the name that it has when you load it into your project. Okay, so I've got my table there. I'll put that next to the chairs for now. And I might just switch to a 3D view so you can see, wrong one. So you can see them together. And so now I can select my table, go to edit type, and simply assign those parameters to the same setting, same materials as I've used for the chair. Right, and so notice that the materials I made in the chair file were brought into the project. So there's the metal stainless that I made in the chair file. And then the tabletop, of course, we have the plastic material that I also made in the project. There we are. Oh, in the family, sorry. It's been brought into the project. Oh, there we are. Right, so that all hopefully will make sense, but let me know if you've got any questions. Otherwise, I might finish that video there and I'll do another one on lighting. But if that's all okay, I'll end that video. All good? Yep. Great, thanks. Now where's it going? There you go.